Hello, I'm Coach John Shepherd, and in this video I'm going to give you some information about some key elements of long jump and sprint training. I've pulled some of the elements of my coach athlete members videos together to give you a snapshot of what I've just talked about, those key elements of long jump, triple jump and sprint training, and also to enable you to see what goes on in the coach athlete member videos. I've had a lot of coaches and athletes sign up, so they're seeing a value in those videos and the specific detailed and in-depth content. So do head over to the channel's homepage and click on the join button to take a look at the coach athlete members offer. Anyway, let's take a look at some of the content from those videos, and you're going to pick up quite a lot of knowledge that's going to help you with your training planning and your technical development. Okay, in this video we're going to take a look at training planning. Now, I'm producing this video at the beginning of the training year, so that's the time when the majority of athletes will either be starting back training or just about to start training. I'm going to take a look at what elements, what factors, what variables you should include in your training programs. We're going to focus on the 14 to 21, 22 age range. Now, that's quite a large group in terms of training maturity. However, it's the age group that the majority of the coaches who'll be watching this video will be working with. Yes, there's going to be some variation in how those age groups of athletes, depending on their training maturity, should be coached. But I'm going to provide an overview how you can plan their training. I now coach athletes for speed from day one, and I've even started to turn up the intensity from day one. A few years back, we'd always start with acceleration work. Well, now, within a couple of weeks of training, we're working on max velocity. What I will say, however, to perhaps facilitate your understanding of undulating or block periodization, is give you a very quick overview as to what I do. I basically use units of drills and technical elements and some more general training, despite what I've said earlier, and I mix them all together and use them throughout the whole training year. Hello. In this second Coach Athlete Members video on my channel, I'm going to take you through the process of planning a training phase. But the objective of this session was to build some specific volume and also develop some injury robustness, resilience to injury. So we've got balance and posture drills, which are great for the ankles, knee and hip in terms of strengthening stability and balance. Then we did some leg cycling, running drills, and I've put basic fitness there as well because we did quite a few repetitions, but also included marching and lunging drills, which are going to develop some degree of strength endurance, for example, and I prefer to do that as opposed to developing strength endurance via circuits. So I see a lunge, a travelling lunge with a heel recovery as being much more specific than a series of squats, particularly for a long jumper who doesn't need that specific strength endurance that, say, a 400-metre runner would want. Hello and welcome to the fifth Coach Athletes Members video, and in this one we're going to look at a fundamental topic that affects all of us as coaches and indeed athletes, and that's how to develop as an athlete. This is based on my own experiences of over 15 years of developing athletes from 13 years of age and upwards. As I say on screen, it's somewhat up to you to decide what you think works better for your particular athlete. But again, as I say, don't be afraid to change if you see the athlete developing one way or the other. If you coach the takeoff drive and the pushing out of the foreleg and then sweeping back of the leg, the free leg, long under the body, then you're actually developing the potential to go either into a hitch kick or a hitch hang. So when we're able to do more work, I'm going to try to get those arms to work independently as I think that will ultimately be her preferred method of jumping and one which will develop her to her optimum. In future coach athlete member videos, we will revisit the takeoff, as it is obviously exceptionally crucial for both the long and the triple jump, and I'll be able to go into more detail with you guys as opposed to the level that I can produce on the main channel. I'm going to show you how to maximize your fast twitch muscle fibers irrespective of the percentages that you've naturally got. By the end of this video, you'll be fully aware as to how you can maximize and train your fast twitch muscle fibers output for optimum speed, jumping ability and power production. There is a big debate about whether or not you can actually convert fiber type. Training-induced changes will at least be semi-permanent, insofar as if you keep doing sprint training, your fast twitch muscle fibers will adapt to sprint training and they will maintain that capacity to discharge quickly with repeated sprint training. Fast twitch muscle fibers have what's known as a twitch rate of 30 to 70 per second, whereas slow twitch muscle fibers have a twitch rate between 10 and 30 per second. So that shows the differences in the capability of producing speedy movements between the different types of muscle fiber. We're going to look at a specific 4-week training phase that takes the athlete from the end of the winter season, preparation season, into the early season competitive phase. Then we're looking at a high leg cycle unit of drills, over 30 meters again, not traveling too far forward on the cycles. We're working on the hip, and I've identified that she needs to recover the heel quicker for her rear side mechanics and then pull the foot over the knee to get it in front of the body. But returning to this particular athlete, 6 takeoffs from 10 steps. So we're just working on positioning into the board and the swing off again with the free leg, same off of 12 steps. So hopefully the transference from one exercise drill to the shorter approaches via the mat work to the longer approaches to the full-on jumps after the takeoffs will show you how you can progress your jumpers training in a very specific way. Okay, now turn over. Then we're going to have a bit of a follow-on theme and look at speed planning and how you can develop the speed of your jumpers and athletes across the training year with particular relevance coming into the season. You may well know that recently I've been doing some presentations for various governing bodies and organisations. Training planning and how to train and plan sessions for your athletes seems to be the perennial issue. A lot of coaches don't seem to be able to pull together a reflexive, systematic and progressive training plan for their athletes. And this is no criticism on my part, as it is a very difficult subject. I've obviously built up my knowledge over a number of years. I know what to include, what not to include, and when to include the various training elements. I've developed my training philosophy. It can be very difficult for somebody at the outset of their coaching journey, or even at a midpoint, who's perhaps not come to terms with their own philosophy, developed their own philosophy, to be able to plan confidently for their athletes. So hopefully, with this little recap, I'm going to help you formulate your thoughts and ideas to those ends. Also do in and out runs and start to use the free lap system more and more in order to really fire up speed, to add more speed onto more speed. Obviously, the competitions during the indoor season need to also be taken into account and the performances which the athletes achieve. And in another video, I'll go into more detail about the specifics of preparation during competition phases. So after the indoors, in terms of speed training, we will wind things back in a little bit, but we're still doing the very same or similar type of work that we've done from the start of the training year. I will introduce more or reintroduce more basic sprint drills and use those on a volume basis, and we'll back off the absolute top end speed for a little while. As April transitions into May, this is the crucial time for setting up the jumpers' speed and technical ability and their readiness to really perform well in the outdoor season. So we will also be working on longer run-ups, which I haven't talked about because I'm dealing more with speed, but we need to be working on the ability to lift out of speed off of 14, 15 stride approaches if the athlete's run-ups are 18 to 20. If you followed the training program that I do, the jumper shouldn't really find it very difficult to lift out of speed from December through till September really, or even November, because of the specific work that we're doing. It's all co-joined, but as I said, I've been focusing more on the development of sprint speed and run-up speed. The ability to take off is another specific. I was recently reading an article in a book by Martin Bingisser, who runs Hammer Media, and he'd interviewed a number of elite coaches, and one of those was Derek Evely, and he was talking about how if you know how many sessions it takes to bring an athlete to a peak, then you can hopefully construct a better, more optimized training program to reach that peak. So looking at the numbers of the sessions that you do with your athletes and when they come to a peak can assist you in your training planning, in that you can plan in those 40, 45 sessions, whatever it is in your specific cases, knowing that if you put the same content into those sessions, everything being equal, your athletes will reach a peak at the end of those 45 sessions or thereabouts. Well, I hope that whetted your appetite to finding out more, at least, about the Coach Athlete member videos. So as I said at the beginning of the video, head over to the channel's homepage and click on the join button to see the offers. As usual, if you've got any specific questions on the subject matter of this particular video or any of my other ones, then do leave a comment in the section below. And good luck with your training and any competitions you've got coming up, and do subscribe to the channel.